So I'm going to talk to you about one of the biggest problems that we have today in our cities, probably in our societies, which is inequality. I don't know if you know this, but inequality in the United States is at levels not seen since the last Great Depression. So we are talking about living more or less like 80 years ago with the same problems in our cities regarding inequality, regarding access to services, regarding access to public transportation. This is costing us billions of dollars every year. Not only for the people that are living in those areas, they have problems for health, access to health, access to public transportation, to services, but for all of us are costing this problem billions of dollars because we have to pay, distribution of money, services, creating new opportunities for these people. So, but when we talk about inequality, most of the things that you will see are people talking about this landscape in which you have a slum, which is very close connected to a wealthy area. So inequality is seen as bricks, is seen as places, it's seen as geographical places, streets. So I'm going to talk to you today, and I want you to imagine with me, how can we change this without moving people around? We don't want people to change their places. We just want them to be less unequal. So this is what we are going to do, and actually the thing that we have been doing in Sandy's group is to collect this massive amount of data to try to understand and give another perspective to this problem of inequality. And this perspective comes from this video. Let me show you this, what is happening in this video. This is actually Boston downtown. Each of the dots that you're going to see there are people. There are people that are staying in that place for 5 minutes, and the colors of these dots are the income. Blue and red, greenish dots are people that come from the higher income, let's say, brackets. They live in places in which the income is high, and the reddish and the orange one are coming from the places which low incomes. And this is the time of the day. You can see here the time of the day. So you can see that during the night, the people stay home, okay, and they're fully segregated. But when the night starts, you can start seeing people getting together in places like, for example, the financial district, downtown, the airport, the medical area, even, well, the universities, you are here actually, and even the shopping centers. So I can tell you that in our data, 75% of the people you ever encounter in your daily lives lives 15 miles away from you, okay? So if we are going to talk about inequality, maybe we have to start talking about what we do and less about where we live. And this is what we are having created in this project, which we call Atlas of Inequality, which is basically showing where you are actually doing during the day and where are you encountering people of different backgrounds during your daily life. This atlas is talking about places, but we want to talk also about users. And the atlas is basically a way to map all the places in the city in which we color them by how unequal they are. So you can make choices about going to a shop or to a restaurant depending on what is the people that you are going to encounter in that place. So this is actually the map. You can go to the web address. Right now we only have Boston area, but we also have New York in the following weeks, and our plan is to actually roll this out for the rest of the US throughout the following year. And also going to places like, for example, Mexico, because we believe that what we are seeing, most of the patterns we are seeing is actually unique to the US, okay? So you can see, for example, this is a map. You can see a lot of points there. Each point is a place, it's a restaurant, it's a shop, it's a bus stop, it's a train station, and you can clearly see there, for example, this was the MIT, and you can, for example, get a restaurant. And what you see there is a number, which is the inequality of the place. It's basically how well mixed is that place in terms of economic background. So you can see places like, for example, this one, which is well mixed, like this is Chipotle Mexican Grill, in which people from different backgrounds go there, okay? But one of the things that we found is actually it matters a lot the place you choose in your life to go, okay? Just even in the same street, you can go to different places. You can actually cross the street, and you can actually meet different people. So most of the inequality that we see in our daily lives come from our choices, not from where we live. The fact that you choose, for example, to go to this fancy restaurant instead of this coffee shop, which is just next door, can actually give you a different perspective of the people living in the city, okay? And you can, this is a very complicated plot. I'm not going to explain it probably, but just letting you know that the category of the place, like for example, going to a factory, working in a factory, working in an office, can give you different segregation. It's even so that even the type of cooking gives you different perspective of the city. If you choose to go to Spanish or Caribbean restaurants, you are going to be mostly segregated. But if you choose to go, for example, to a Tex-Mex or a steakhouse, you have a completely different picture of the people living in the city. So just going to different restaurants, just this tiniest choice that you make in your daily lives can matter for the segregation in the cities. But the good news, and this is actually good news, is that the segregation that we experience every day in our lives in the city, 75% of that comes from your choices, not for where you live. Two people living in the same area can be very different segregation just by choosing to go to different places. So try to imagine with me, how can we change this? How can we change the place we go? How can we steer first of all, how can we actually let people know that the choices matter? And the second is, how can we steer the behavior so we get a less and less unequal society? Thank you very much.